Cheers. Or, as they say in Germany, Prost. For those of you who are just listening to the podcast, I'm actually drinking I finally busted out my glass stein that I got from the Hofbrauhaus in Vegas. This sucker holds 3 cans of beer, which is none too shabby. And to top it off, I'm currently drinking the blondeale from Santa Monica Brewery. It's got a little bit of a honey flavor to it. It's pretty good. You should check it out. Whether or not you actually get it in your place or state or city or whatever is a different question. But, what do you do? It's good. I'm just giving you the suggestions. I'm just showing you where the door is. Oh, yeah, that was a good one. You'll have to open it up and step through it yourself. I ain't doing the work for you. I'm already got my own work here. Anyways, it also just happens to be a coincidence that, this is episode 4 of the show, and today is actually 420. Although, to be fair, by the time I get this thing, fully recorded and edited and put up, it's actually going to be 421, but it'll probably still be 420 in Hawaii. And chances are that if you avidly celebrate 420, you probably celebrate 420 every day of your life anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Let's see. So yeah, this episode we talk about... what do we talk about? Let me go back into my notes here. Oh yeah, so we go back into the whole malls thing a little bit. I talk about a little more in detail, some more info about my experiences of checking out some of the dead-ass malls when I was living in Orlando. I grab about IPAs for a while. And then I talk about... Oh yeah, I'm just seeing some more things that I've been doing in the quarantine. Mostly video games. I rant about Mortal Kombat a little bit, and I talk about some of my experiences in Postmates. Which, there were some things I forgot to talk about, but, well, I forgot them again. So, just sit back and relax, or maybe don't relax if you're driving or something like that. But you probably shouldn't be driving anyway because we're in the middle of a quarantine. Anyways, enjoy. So, I told you guys before that I'm not a big fan of the IPAs, which is how you know just how boring this quarantine is, because here I am drinking a pale ale. Now, it's not a regular IPA, it's just a regular PA. I guess they're both regular. This is it for me, because I don't really have any fans yet. And it's a blood orange pale, so it's not too bad. But even still, it's, bleh. I don't know. I don't really like IPAs because they're just... I'm not into the bitter, hoppy taste as much. I usually like my beers a little more malty or sweeter. In fact, give me like a good brown ale, like especially like a good nutty brown ale. That's what gets me going. But yeah, and I don't know why IPAs are so big in the craft community. So I don't know if you ever look up exactly how IPAs are made, or the history of IPAs actually. So the reason that they're called IPAs, which is India Pale Ale, is because this was a type of beer during the what was it? It was the 1840s or 50s or somewhere around there, according to Wikipedia, that a lot of European companies that made the IPAs, these were the types of beers that they would ship by sea to disparate countries in the European or the English Empire, namely India. I guess that was kind of like the furthest away. So what they did is they would put... Ooh. I'm already feeling it in my chest. But they would put more hops and different kinds of preservatives to make sure that the beer... God damn. I guess it's not bad after all. They would put more hops and preservatives in the beer to make sure that it would actually get to its destination without, going bad. Which means that is not how the beer is supposed to fucking taste. I don't know, whatever. But, now that we're all in lockdown and I can't go to... I guess... Also, another part of the reason that I don't really drink IPAs is because, if I'm out at a bar or what have you... God, my fucking nose itches. I don't know, I get an itchy nose. I don't really even have the long nose hairs. Actually, what's funny is whenever I worked at a venue during my earlier years... Well, technically I still work at a venue, but during my earlier years, when I would do more work in the barricade, which for those of you who don't know is the section between the stage and the crowd, and there's a big metal barricade, which is something that you'll find at bigger venues. And whenever we were working a rave show, behind us would always be lined up the massive bass speakers, and they would just be going off throughout the whole show. And for me, it would always make my nose hairs vibrate, and I would literally be sitting there just, rubbing my nose like a fucking crackhead or something like that. But at the same time, I'd imagine all the good vibrations are, a good way to keep you from getting kidney stones or something like that. But, the fuck was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, whenever you're out at, like, a bar or, something like that, and you're also paying for the atmosphere or whatever bullshit they tell you. I don't want to pay premium prices for something that I'm not really gonna like. Usually, every once in a while, I'll get like an IPA, but I mean, in this case, I bought a 6-pack for like $10 or whatever, and I'd already tried some of the other ones that I was eyeballing at the store, so whatever. IPAs. Or PA. Blood Orange PA. And it's Elysian too, which is a decent brand on its own. I think they only make IPAs. Or PAs. As far as I've seen. Whatever. I've definitely had some shitty hangovers off of IPAs too before. So that's also a bit of a factor, but not the biggest factor. Not the worst ones. I think probably the worst... Ooh, getting a little coffee there. One of the worst experiences I had was my first and last time enjoying Jägermeister, which is all that I really need to say, honestly. But my second time, drinking. This was a while ago, but whatever. I had the great idea. I bought a small thing of Jaeger, like the regular bottles, not the big ones. And then I bought a thing of Orange Monster, I believe it was. And my great idea was just, let's just mix it all together. And I chugged that whole thing. And yeah, it was pretty bad. I was throwing up all over the side of my friend's house. It wasn't my house, so who cares? Anyways, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people have had similar experiences with Jägermeister and Jaeger bombs. Actually, so that was kind of where I got the idea from. I had a Jaeger bomb before that, and I figured like, why don't I just make like a really big Jaeger bomb, like a Jaeger nuke. Let's see. Oh yeah, so last week I was talking about dead shopping malls, and I actually found the information off of one of them that I was talking about before. This is the one that I visited in, I say that like a tourist. I guess I kind of was a tourist, but the one that I went to in Orlando that was really bad. It's a place called the Artagon Marketplace, formerly known as the Festival Bay Mall, which is what it was called when I went there. Opened in 2002, and it's pretty much like right in the middle of Orlando. If you look at a map of Orlando, like right in the center, there's two interstates that literally do an X like this, and it's right there, smack dab in the middle. And let's see, when did I go? I was in Orlando between 2010 and 2011, and I went there sometime like right in the middle. So I was there from the summer to the summer. So it is, let's see, how big was it? Number of stores, 65. Number of anchor tenants, 5. But from the inside, it doesn't look like that. And that's also counting, they have like a bunch of the stores along the outside of the block. So you know how like you'll see like a mall and then there's a Best Buy or what have you. Literally, the only thing this place had was like it had a Bass Pro Shop on one side and a movie theater on the other end, and then the rest of it was basically just a giant wind tunnel. And they even had one of those little vortex machines. Yeah, here it is. 860,000 square feet of empty linoleum, basically. Yeah. Bass Pro Shop and a Cinemark. And apparently they had a Sky Zone trampoline, Sky Trail rope course, and a glow in the dark mini golf, which I didn't even see. It was probably gone by the time I was there. But let's see. Oh, and apparently they were going to build a surf park inside. I'm guessing that's probably like one of those what are they called? Like those wave pools that you can surf in. Never finished, of course, because there was no fucking reason to ever go there. And the big outlet mall, or outlet plaza, was across the street anyway, so I don't know. And it's Orlando you're talking about. You know, it's not the most amazing part of the city. Anyway, and it's really not even in the touristy part of the city, which would be Disney World and Universal Studios, which is kind of where I was at. And even over there, they have like their own places and a big ass Walmart. It's funny too, because I remember every time I'd go to Walmart, so what I used to do when I was there is my classes were at night. I'd be there from 6 to about 11 at night. And then some days I would go to the gym right after that, because I was at Gold's that was fortunate enough to be 24 hours. This was a really nice Gold's too, not like the ones out here in LA, which are kind of some would call them old school. I just call them kind of dingy. Ooh, shit. Also, I've never been out to the Muscle Beach gym out in Venice, but from what I understand, that one's pretty expensive, and you better be looking good, because you're literally outside for everybody to see, and I'm not really into that. The fuck was I saying? Oh yeah. So, but then a lot of times I'd end up going over to Walmart after everything to, you know, like pick up food or whatever. And it was funny because, you know, this is Orlando we're talking about, tourist area, and literally every single time that I went there, there was always some, you know, foreigner family. That sounds bad. Some tourist family from a foreign country. A lot of times it was like a Chinese, they were Chinese or Russian or something like that, or Armenian. And they were always had like $500 or $600 worth of Disney shit, like kids' clothes and hats and bags and all that kind of stuff. And every single time, it never failed. The only thing that was different was like what color of shirt that they had. But I don't know. That's Disney for you. Just a stranglehold on everything. They got all the movies, they got all the Walmarts, and then now they got all the tourists. You know, I bought this big ass office chair specifically for the podcast, and it's kind of cool because it still has that new office chair smell. Which, for those of you who don't know what a new office chair smells like, it smells like fish. Yeah, every time I walk into here, it stinks for a little bit. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Did I, like, sit in my food or something? But no, it's just this weird faux leather crap. Ugh. Whatever, it's good now. That's also why I have the candle running in here. That and just for, you know, ambiance, set the mood. Because we like it romantic here in the closet. But not like that. At least not for me. I don't know about some of y'all. Maybe some of you are still in a closet as well. Maybe some of you are out of a closet. But a different kind of closet. So I actually wanted to do a quick shout out for another podcast that I was listening to called Fake Doctors, Real Friends, and that's the newer one with Zach Braff and Donald Faison. And basically what they're doing is they're going through every episode of their old TV show Scrubs, which I don't know if a lot of you remember. It was old. It was a hospital comedy dramedy actually. I don't know if that word was even invented yet, but you know, mixing two words together is kind of stupid. It's almost as bad as, you know, celebrity crush names. Or celebrity couple names, whatever it's called. But anyways. Fuck. It's, yeah, I used to watch Scrubs a lot. And I want to say it was during my later years in college that this was. But it could have also been high school, because what I didn't realize is that, you know, I would just listen to the second episode actually, which is the first, and yeah, each episode of the podcast apparently is an episode of the TV series that they completely go over, and they have some colors and stuff like that. And so I'm listening to the second episode. They're saying like, yeah, man, I haven't seen this shit in 20 years. That means that this show came out when I was, yeah, like 13 years old. Somewhere between, yes. Yeah, it would have been 13 years ago. Or 20 years ago. Which means that I was 13 years old at the time, because, still burping. So I'm 33 now. But I also didn't see it right away either. I think whenever I started watching it was mostly reruns. So yeah, it would have been in my later years in college when I was living by myself. I was fortunate enough to have my own little apartment towards the end of my senior year. Which, and this was back when I was living in Omaha too, when it was affordable. I think I was paying, with utilities, it was like $640 a month. With an extra $40 for parking for whatever reason, but I don't know. It was a pretty good time. I was living by myself. I kind of wish I had that now, but here, which would cost me a lot more. Let's be honest. Also, it's not like they need my endorsement. Yeah, man. Shout out for a famous podcast from my little fucking podcast with no listeners yet. Hopefully I will get some more listeners eventually. And if you guys are listening, you know, give me a shout out, maybe. Whatever. And I also think it's kind of interesting that they came out with this pretty much at the same time as the pandemic started to hit. So it's just kind of like all ties together. It's nice. whatever. That's my 2 cents. And I'm sure I'll probably shout out some more podcasts, but I don't know. Most of the ones I listen to are pretty big as they are anyway. So most of what I listen to is, other comedians. In this case, they're not exactly comedians, but they were comedic actors at the time. So it's still more or less the same, and it's also nice to hear other perspectives every once in a while. But I mean, I don't, if I'm gonna listen to a podcast, like, it has to be funny, right? I could not imagine listening to something that's like all about money, or one of those podcasts with like a positivity influencer or whatever bullshit, the kind of person who's normally like a motivational speaker. They're like, oh yeah, you gotta, work hard and yada yada for your success, but okay, well, now you just run around talking to people, not anymore. But you just talk to people in theaters and auditoriums for a bunch of money, and you probably don't even actually do any of the shit that you talk about anymore. And if I couldn't listen to that. If I had to listen to somebody talk about, just money or fucking live, laugh, love for an hour and 20 minutes or whatever, just be like, bang. Couldn't do it. Bored out of my fucking mind. It's gotta be funny. Speaking of pandemic and being in lockdown, I'm sure everybody's been really hitting the video games a lot more. Me personally, I've been grinding away on the latest Mortal Kombat that came out, Mortal Kombat 11. Which, I especially like this one. I think they really did a good job with this one, for the most part. There's a couple things that are still, sort of, they seem rushed. Like, one of the biggest things about the Mortal Kombat franchise is there's a lot of blood. One of the 2 main gripes that I have with this game is that for most of the characters, all the blood is exactly the same, except for the one bug lady who they went ahead and gave blue blood. But I mean, that doesn't make sense for a lot of them, because like one of the characters, Noob, is basically a ghost corpse. He should have black blood or something like that, and he did in the previous game. And then they have at least one, whatchamacallit, they have at least one cyborg character in there, and she still has, they still have her with like red blood and just like a bones and a body, even though apparently the only thing that's supposed to be left that's human is just like her face. So it should be like oil and cybernetic parts or something like that, but no, it's just red. So you could tell that they literally just like, whatever, just push it out there, get it out there. It's like working on a movie, only worse. The one thing I did like that they did is they came whenever they finished off the current DLCs with Spawn, they gave him green blood. So yeah. They did that right, but I'm hoping. Now, apparently, I'm actually kind of excited because there's rumors that there's going to be another DLC pack. In the teasers that I've seen so far, which has since been redacted apparently, where they were going to release Shiva, who is the Shokan character, which I'm sure you guys remember Goro, the big guy with the 4 arms, like they had in the movies, or in the original movie. He was a Shokan, that's kind of their race. And Shiva is like the female character, and she makes like a little bit of a cameo in the story mode, but so that'd be cool. Goro was actually in the last one, and apparently he's dead in this one for whatever reason, but they don't really explain it. And then the other character was, I guess, going to be Ash from Evil Dead. Boomstick, chainsaw hand. So that would be cool. And there has to be there's still a couple things in the game too that are like, coming soon, even though they've already come out with supposedly everything. The combat in the like the combat pack 1. or whatever it's called. So there's more coming, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who will appreciate that. Let's see. So that was my first gripe. I guess my second gripe too is one of the things that, well, you guys should know this already, but one of the main things that this game's known for is the fatalities. Whenever you finish people off and you kill them in some horribly gory fashion. And like I was saying, this is the other part of the game that feels kind of rushed, because a lot of them are really just uninspired and have like some what's the word? They just have some shit that's unnecessary. Like, I don't know. I don't want to spoil it. You can probably go onto YouTube and just look up Mortal Kombat fatalities. Go ahead and do it. I'm not going to do the work for you. I got enough work of my own. You know what? There's actually 3 gripes that I had. I feel like at this point now, there's enough characters in the Mortal Kombat story that they could feasibly do all of their DLC characters as just other Mortal Kombat characters, which they do have some. Let's see, in this game, the DLCs were Nightwolf was one of them. They had him come in later, and then what the fuck is her name? The Queen lady. She has the she's the one who screams, the Banshee. God, why? It's not Shiva. I'm getting mixed up, but anyways, she's in there as well. But yeah, and then as far as the other characters go, they had they had Spawn, which, yeah, he's okay. I mean, he's cool and he definitely fits the bill, but I mean, they've already had him before as well, so I don't really care for that as much. And then let's see, they had the Terminator. They introduced the Terminator as a character, and he's pretty much plays this pretty similar to how Jason did in the previous one, and that would be Jason Voorhees, which they had some horror icon, which they actually didn't really do like the horror thing with this game as much, but yeah, they put in the Terminator, and he pretty much came out at the same time as the that last Terminator movie, which is better than I thought it was going to be. But I mean, it is just like an obvious advertisement, and I felt like it was a little too much of a cash grab. Like, they could have done something a little bit more original, but I don't know, whatever. They had the Terminator. I would have rather had one of the other cyborgs, like Sector or Smoke or something like that. But then again, goddamn, they did that in the previous game anyway. But the one that really pisses me off was, pissed me off, like, whatever. Like, my opinion matters. But the one that I didn't really care for the least was they added in the Joker. Which, the only reason they did that is because the guys who made Mortal Kombat, they also made the Injustice series, which is basically the same thing. It was the DC fighting game. So, of course, they had to put in the Joker. Whatever. I feel like they could have, they could have gone with somebody else. I mean, they already have the Joker. He's already been in both Injustice games, and he was also, they also did that Mortal Kombat meets DC game a long ass time ago, which was A, I never played it, and B, they didn't have fatalities in there, which was just like, what are you doing? It's bullshit. And they also did the same thing too with the Injustices games. They had Injustices, they had a couple of Mortal Kombat characters in there. The last one, they had Raiden and not Sub-Zero, and Scorpion, which to me is an injustice. Whatever. I don't know. I mean, at the same time, it's all their intellectual property. So I guess they can do whatever they want. I don't know. I'm not about it, but whatever. It's still fun, and it was also nice too because with some of those characters, they also introduced like different cosmetics for some of the other characters. So like whenever the Joker came out, you could make Baraka look like Killer Croc, or what's her face, Katana look like the old classic Catwoman with like the full bodysuit and the ears. But like from the old TV show with Adam, what's his face? And I'm gonna get a lot of shit for that, but whatever. I don't have anybody listening. Who cares? And then you can make Cassie look like Harley Quinn. And there was another big one. Oh yeah, and then Noob could look like they had the dark Batman skin for Noob Saibot, which is okay. Even though he's got like mangly hands with getting long ass fingernails, which looks kind of weird, but I don't know. What can you do? They also had some Halloween skins that were kind of cool too, but I don't know. Let's move. New topic. Fuck it. So another thing that I'm sure a lot of people have been struggling with too, with this whole everything being in lockdown, is trying to figure out how to get money. I mean, they did have the unemployment thing, which has been getting swamped from what I understand. And if you apply for COVID-19 related reasons, it's not the same as what you would get from just regular unemployment. And while I'm not going to go into my own details, because I applied because I did have work that was suspended because of the lockdown, and it's less than it is a bit less than what you would get before, but it also doesn't help that the government's apparently spending money in not human interests. I guess would be the way to put it, but I'm not going to speculate on that. But living here in California, I think I saw that they said something in the nature of unemployment being at like 40% now, which is kind of ridiculous. But then, it wasn't really that good before either, because, yeah, everybody's saying that unemployment's been at an all-time low under Trump, apparently, but that's also not factoring in that people are working multiple jobs, because that's the only way to make real money, especially to live out here. And now those jobs are gone. But I also got off my ass finally and started doing the whole Postmates thing, because if there's one thing that people are still going to need, it's food, and they're going to need food delivered. Obviously it's not the same as like a grocery store, but it's still something worth doing. And I had actually tried doing it a few years ago, and it didn't really work out that well for me, because one of the things about the app is that you can set what vehicle that you're in. So you can say like, yeah, I'm either in a car, a scooter, I'm on a bicycle, or I'm just on foot. Which the on foot option, I learned the hard way, doesn't really work in Los Angeles because we're way too spread out. And so I thought it would be a good idea for my first time I was going to go downtown, DTLA, just set it to be on foot and, just turn the thing on and wait. And I think I sat on the steps of the Macy's Plaza for about a couple of hours, and I got jack shit. So I said, you know what, fuck this, I'm not doing it anymore. But, now with the whole pandemic thing going on, I figured I'd give it another shot, and it's been going pretty good. I know they start you off pretty slow at first. I think it's like kind of a probationary period, maybe, or maybe I was just logging in at the wrong times, but then today, I went on and I pulled in a good chunk, a change, and well, it was a little overwhelming because, I got put in a situation where they gave me like three different orders from the same spot, and then while I was waiting on them to finish, I kept getting pinged and pinged and pinged, like, oh, this delivery is available too, this one's available, and I had to fucking no, because there's no way that I would have been able to meet all those, because I still had to wait for these and then drive all them out, and they were almost all of them were in apartments, so I had to figure out how to get into the fucking building. And then my last one was literally in like a decent sized apartment complex, and just the last fucking one all the way down, and it was upstairs too, and I didn't know where the elevators were, so good times. Also, I've my Postmates ventures have been taking me up into the Hollywood Hills area, and I'm not a big fan of the roads up there, because whoever was city planning, I feel like they were thinking very, like, it looks like the Shire up there, basically. Like, if you ever see Lord of the Rings, where all the dwellings of the hobbits are literally just, set in the different hills, and all the roads are like just all over the place, no rhyme or reason whatsoever, except maybe to, well, I guess they were following, I guess they were kind of following the features of the actual mountains, but not really, because I remember I had like, I ended up going the wrong way a couple times, because there was one switchback that, I think that's what it's called, but like a U-turn, regular turn, that went off into like 3 separate areas, and like half of them looked like driveways, but they were actually roads into other, I don't know, it was a pain in the ass. And there's not a lot of room. Most of those roads are, they're two-way streets, but they're only like 1 lane wide. And then Jesus Christ, burping like a motherfucker. Maybe I just need to eat better, but I have been eating better, so I don't know. I do a food delivery service myself, but yeah, I drive a bigger car, and I'm pretty sure there's no way that I could have, passed somebody while I was up there, but I managed, and I'm just doing what I can. And, I hope everybody out there is also doing what they can too.